So again, my name is Tamesha. My testimony is a little different. Growing up, I didn't have like the traditional family. My grandmother raised me. My mother and dad, they weren't present. Like if my dad was to walk in front of me to this day, I wouldn't know who he was. And like I had a good childhood with my grandmother, but she ended up getting sick with cancer. I just remember being in school, like my teachers were the ones who raised me pretty much. I just remember every year I had a teacher that took me under her wing and like took care of me that school year. And if I'm being honest, prayed over me, made sure I had the backpack that I needed or the school supplies I needed or the school uniforms I needed because we wore uniforms. And like I just remember throughout my whole elementary school years, middle school, high school, like I had teachers to help like raise me. Well, fast forward, I do not have a relationship with my biological family, and I am praying and asking God to redeem and restore and renew. But until that time comes, like I've had like bonus families. So in my mind, one of the things that I struggle with still is having that like orphan mentality. I've never been able to unpack. So fast forward, I had a family that took me in. I had 3 families actually. So my 3rd grade year, I had this lady, her name, I don't mind naming her because me and her are still close to this day. Her name is Angie Fletcher. She took me in my 3rd grade year. This was before she had any kids. And she would literally get me during the summers. This was before my grandmother ended up with cancer. And she would get me every summer to give my grandmother a break. And we were very close. She would always take me to Claire's because that was my favorite store. I love jewelry, so she would always take me to get a diary, and she would like give me my favorite like earrings or a necklace or whatever the case may have been. And like during that summer, I would go swimming. She'll make sure I had like the proper like childhood that other kids would have, and then I would go home and get ready for the next school year. So when my grandmother ended up with cancer, she asked her to adopt me. And they went through the whole adoption process and stuff. And close to the end, she was just like, I just really think that it wouldn't be such a great idea because, not to bring color into play, but she was white and I was black. And she didn't want me getting picked on about having a white family and just having all those things going on. Well, she ended up having 2 kids in the process of me being close to her, which fast forward, my sister is getting married in April. So we still have a very close relationship. And then the second family that came into my life, I was 12. My grandmother ended up passing away with cancer, and this particular family, my dad, that's who I consider my dad, he did her funeral. And so then they picked me up, and then they would start like getting me in the summers and making sure like I had a normal life, so to speak. And they had a daughter. She was 1 when I came into their life. And all of this would make sense towards the end. And they would end up getting me in the summers, and I would stay. They live here. That's how I ended up in Mobile. They live in Central. And I was very close with them, and they would get me from the middle school to almost my 11th grade year of high school. And so my senior year, my mom, she ended up wanting to be a part of my life. And it was rocky and stuff because she was learning how to be a mom and stuff, and things weren't as great, and it's okay. She was trying to do the best that she could. And so this other family came in because I was going to end up dropping out of high school because I went to stay with my mom. And my biological sisters were there with me, and things weren't great. And it was very hard for me to have to leave or feel like I was choosing. And I chose to leave and go with one of the families, leaving them behind. Sorry, guys. No, I'm trying to. Sorry, y'all. I was going to drop out of school because I wanted to make sure that they had the life too, So I remember going up to the last family that I was a part of and telling them like this was my last year of high school, like I was going to drop out because I wanted to make sure like I could take care of me and my sisters. I was head cheer captain, straight A student, all the things. And I was like, I got to do this for me and my sisters. And so he's like, let me go home and talk to my wife. And I remember that following Friday, she came to my game with her and my siblings, my adopted siblings at the time. And they were 6 months, My sister was 2, and I had a brother that was 3. And she brought all 3 of them out there. She was a stay-at-home mom, and this was my choir director, his wife. And so she was like, how would you feel if you could come just stay with us on weekends starting off? And I was like, that'd be great. So she came and she picked me up that Saturday, and from that Saturday, I ended up staying with her every weekend. So when my mom realized, like, she's really happy there, she gave her parental rights over to them. So I started staying with them my high school year all the way through college. So fast forward, that is important because, of course, I went through feeling abandoned, feeling lonely, feeling like I didn't have anybody, like I didn't belong. And I dealt with a lot of stuff. So I know I mentioned a couple like little segments back that I had a journal. So for a while there, I was mute. I didn't talk to anyone. Like, I would journal everything. Like, y'all, I still have all of my journals from middle school to now, to where I would journal my life and just say like the things that I went through, because I felt like I didn't have anywhere to like share it. And so fast forward, my sister that was 6 months, in 22, we ended up losing her in a car accident. And when I got in college and stuff, I kind of had to go away because, you know, college, you stay in a dorm. They didn't understand why I wasn't there a lot. They was just like, why is Tamesha not home? And I remember back in 21, she was 9. So she would always ask me like, Tamesha, when are you coming home to visit? We miss you. You know, you have family here. And I was like, maybe one day. Well, for me, that one day didn't like come. And I was so distraught when I found out that they got in a car accident and they lost her. And I dealt with so much guilt. So I moved to Mobile in 2016 when I started my career. And from 2016 on up to when she passed, I didn't see them much. And I dealt with that for a long time. So I ended up having a therapist, which she was gold. And another thing that I was missing to say, I grew up in the church. Every single family that I was a part of was in the church. So I always felt the hand of God over my life. I always knew that I was set apart and different. But I never had a relationship with God. It's one thing to know religion, but it's another thing to have a relationship with him. And I ended up having a full encounter with God when I lost my sister and I went through therapy. I had a Christian therapist, and she didn't do it like the typical way. She would always open up in prayer, or she'll be like, Tamesha, what is one thing that you are needing today? And I would explain to her what I was needing. And so she would always pray with me, and I'm talking about like not just the Our Father, which like she prayed like her soul depended on my soul being saved. And I remember she invited me to this church when I was in Biloxi, and she said, I don't know why the Lord, because I don't know how, if you guys know, you can't have a dual relationship with your therapist. Like, it's very, very strict. And she said she felt the Lord asking her to invite me to her church. She was like, but I can't sit with you. She's like, I just feel it pressing. And I went to a tent revival with her. And that's when like I felt the Holy Spirit like come upon my life, like full-fledged. Like I felt warm all inside. I was sweating. I was like, what is this? And at that tent revival, they did baptism. And I remember like all of these kids going in, because when I lost my sister, I work in braces, ortho, and I just remember I could not work on any kids that were 11 and under. And I was like, God, I really want to get over this. So fast forward to that tent revival and the baptism, I'm seeing all these kids getting baptized, and my sister was saved. Like, I have a picture in my phone of her like getting ready to be baptized, and I was like, God, if that's the representation, if that's what I'm gonna be able to see when I die, like I want to be able to see my sister again. I remember getting in that water fully clothed, y'all, to get baptized, because I was like, if this is a shot at being able to see her in the kingdom, I want that. And ever since that moment, like I've been on fire for the Lord. And I remember too, I was in Biloxi for that year because he separated me. Like I moved from Mobile to go to be in the therapy setting in Biloxi for a year. And it was me, the Lord, and my like that little apartment. That was my sanctuary, to where I literally felt him, and I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel abandoned. I learned what a friend was. I learned what having a father was. And I was like, Lord, like, I think I want to put myself out there. And I was still mute during all this time. Like the only person that I would talk to at this time was my therapist. And so like when I ended up realizing that I was supposed to come back to Mobile, I moved back at the beginning of 2025. So my sister passed away in 22. 24 was the year that I went to Biloxi for therapy, which I'm thankful for. And I need to say this too, therapy is okay. Like, a lot of people like may frown on therapy, but that saved my life, having that Christian therapist like to feed into me, pray over me, and literally shedding light on Christianity itself, because I knew religion. So fast forward, I'm back in Mobile, and I was like, God, I crave friendship. I was like, I know you did not create us to walk this journey alone. Like, I really would love to have some godly friends that is going to push me to you, that's going to help me pick up my cross daily. And so, like, again, I go back to my journals and I'm journaling. Like, I'm finding scripture, like, godly friendships, what it looked like, how to be able to be that friend to other people. And also in Biloxi, I also was connected to a friend there, and she was on fire for the Lord. Like, we walked hand in hand during that season of my life. She was the reason of a glimpse of what godly friendship looked like. But unfortunately, she had to she strayed away a little bit, and we had to disconnect. And I was like, God, I know, like, you have that friend for me. And that one did hurt me. I'm not gonna tell a story, and I do honor that friendship. We have no bad blood. I still love her. She was still like another reason why I know Christ. So fast forward now, I'm 32 years old, and God has blessed me with an amazing tribe. And I was planted at Destination Church. And I have some amazing people that pray with me. I have friends that are helping me unlearn like a lot of things, and knowing that I can finally unpack, like, and be planted, and knowing that I don't have to run, and that I'm not by myself, and that God in fact do have people for you. And I do want to honor my sister because of her journal. She also had journals, and she would like write "Sincerely Lena" on all of her blank pieces of paper in her journal. Like, some were completed, but if you would flip through her stuff, she would only sign "Sincerely Lena." So when I was healing, I ended up getting this tattoo, and she misspelled "sincerely," but it has "Sincerely Lena," and it has like the angel wings, just as a representation, like, it is okay. And I know she knew Christ, and she is the reason. Not saying that her death, I'm like sad about her death, but I honor that because it brought me to knowing Jesus within me, So that's my testimony.